Trigger warning for Meghan. Harry's wife under fire as she lashes out at Hollywood in new podcast. Meghan Markle has described being called crazy in the latest episode of her Archetypes podcast on Spotify. The Duchess of Sussex, 41, discusses the word in the latest podcast installment, which carried a trigger warning, and she says that the label is used to diminish women's credibility. The Duchess of Sussex, who was speaking in the latest episode of her Spotify podcast Archetypes, asked her listeners and celebrity guests to put their hand up if they felt they had the same experience. Meghan said women like her had been gaslit into thinking they are unwell and confessed she struggles to cry as she is conditioned to have a certain kind of composure, but she just wants to let it out. The 41-year-old told her listeners, "Raise your hand if you've ever been called crazy or hysterical. Or what about nuts, insane, out of your mind, completely irrational? Okay, you get the point. Now, if we were all in the same room and could see each other, I think it would be pretty easy to see just how many of us have our hands up. By the way, me too." She added, "I feel pretty strongly about this word, this label, crazy. The way that it's thrown around so casually and the damage it's wrought on society and women, frankly everywhere." She also said the anecdote showed the need to be really honest about what it is that you need, and not to be afraid to make peace with that or to ask for it. The 41-year-old also spoke about feeling lonely and like I didn't fit in at school, before describing how, as an adult, she often wants to feel so deeply it's an Adele album, but believes she has been conditioned not to show intense emotion in public. To prove Meghan's point, she played a number of quotes from American sitcoms in which the male characters describe women as crazy or the female characters themselves use the word crazy to describe themselves. One was from US sitcom How I Met Your Mother, as at a comedy, where Barney says, "If she's this crazy, she has to be this hot." Another clip is from E4's hospital sitcom Scrubs, in which female character Dr. Elliot Reed says, "I can't take it, Carla. I cannot hide the crazy a minute longer. I'm just about this big mountain of cuckoo is about to erupt and spew molten crazy all over him. He's going to die like this." During the episode, Meghan explored with her guests how these unwanted labels have a long and damaging history, and noted how hysteria has been considered a mental health issue until recently. Her guests on episode 4 included Indian actress Deepika Padukone, American comedian Jenny Slate, and American actress Constance Wu. Meghan added, "Calling someone crazy or hysterical completely dismisses their experience and minimizes what they're feeling." At the end of the podcast, Meghan read from a poem, Breath by Becky Hemsley, which she said was texted to her by a friend and has served as her North Star during Archetypes. The strikingly personal message describes a woman facing contradictory expectations who goes on to find solace in nature. Eventually, she decides one day to ask what was best for herself, instead of trying to please everyone else. Much like Prince Harry, the Duchess of Sussex has supported various projects focused on mental health, including the launch in 2019 of 24/7 free text messaging support available in the UK for people experiencing a crisis. Through their non-profit organisation, the Archwell Foundation, the Duke and Duchess will also support British mental health charity Mind.